This is a regular meeting of the Eastland City Commission. It is July 19th. If you have not silenced your cell phones, I'd ask you to do that at this time. I've asked Commissioner Cecil to say our prayer, and I will say the prayer and I'll do the pledge. Cecil.
Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to gather here this evening, Father, to do the work for the citizens of Eastland. Father, we just ask for your guidance and direction in all things that we say and do, and that every decision made tonight will be pleasing in your sight. Amen. We ask for your blessings on each family represented here this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have several public comments, but there were items 2 and 4, and we'll save those for that time. Approve the minutes of the June 21st meeting. You've got a copy of those in front of you.
We accept the minutes as read.
Second.
A motion from Zach and a second from Cecil. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Financial report. We don't have a financial report. We do have the graph that shows our sales tax.
I will say that, yeah, it went down by a little over 1% from last year, but that was the record for the month of June. So, yeah.
Not quite a bit, huh? It's good.
Exactly.
You'll be 23% higher than last year. Pretty good.
Very good.
That's great.
Any other questions about that? Since we're doing budget stuff now, we probably have all kinds of questions. Board of City Commission may discuss and take action on the following agenda item. Number 1, discussion and consideration of Rhonda Howie to present some fiscal year 2022 contract request for the Eastland County Crisis Center.
Good evening. Eastland County Crisis Center is once again coming and requests your consideration of our contract for funding for us for fiscal year 2022. We are asking for the same amounts for both our Crime Victim Assistance Center and our Children's Advocacy Center that we did this past year. I just wanted to give you a brief synopsis of the numbers of services that we've provided over the past 6 months. For our adult victim services, the Crime Victim Assistance Center, a total of 149 new and returning clients, which averages about to 25 a month that we see on our adult side. The total number of services provided to all of those clients was a little over 2,000 services. So, and any service can be safety planning, it can be assistance with emergency overnight shelter, it can be assistance with getting protective orders. So each of those types of things counts as a service. So we provide about 340 services a month on the adult victim services side. I don't know if everyone here knows, the Crime Victim Assistance Center serves adult victims of family violence, sexual assault, and stalking. The hotline calls also, we have a 24/7 hotline, which is answered by a human being. So many times these days you you call a hotline and you're going to get a voicemail. Our staff are trained to answer 24/7. We answer at 2 a.m., we answer at 9 p.m. We go out when law enforcement calls us if they have a family violence victim or a sexual assault victim that needs our advocacy and support so that they can work the case. They will call us to come out and assist if needed with the victim and getting them the services, the immediate things that they need. So the funds that you provide help us with our match requirements for our grants that help keep our agency running. But they also provide us with things like food, because our grants won't help a victim who has not eaten in 24 hours or 12 hours have a meal. So those kinds of fun things that are what we use the funds that we get from the city for to help with that. And some of the community outreach things that we're able to do to help educate people about family violence, because it impacts everyone. It does not discriminate with any gender, age, income, anything. We have seen victims in our center encompassing all of those different gamuts. The Child Advocacy Center contract is also, it's separate. You have 2 separate ones because we have 2 separate programs. Our Child Advocacy Center sees clients referred by CPS and law enforcement. Those come in when there is an outcry of abuse made through the Texas Reporting Hotline. So on average, we serve about 25 children a month here, which you think that's for Eastland County. We're serving 25 children a month. That's quite a bit. Total, we serve also their non-offending caregivers, family members, if they're in a foster home, or whoever is the non-offending family member that's providing services. Sometimes we will have children that CPS makes a determination it's not safe for the children to be there. They get removed and taken to a different home. Well, that home does not have supplies. That home does not have clothing. That home does not have food for these kiddos. So we help provide that and help meet those needs with them. Our CAC clients, total service is about 152 per month. We also do some community outreach, some awareness events, and our staff are trained in and certified by Texas Education Agency to present training for child abuse recognizing and reporting. So if any entities need that for their training, we have help with Ranger College staff training their staff. We have help with different schools in providing that required training to help them with that recognizing and reporting. So I want to thank you for your support you've done for many, many years for our agency. And I appreciate your time this evening. That you have the same contracts that have been offered annually for several years.
Yeah, this was going to ask. It's been several years. $12,000 for the children for the year, and then $5,040 for the adult for the year, paid out monthly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have not asked for an increase in 3 years.
Moved it, so we approved the funding for the CAC and the ECCC.
Second.
A motion from Cecil and a second from Ben to approve the funding for Rhonda and her organization. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate what you do. You want me to sign those?
Yeah.
Somebody. Julie, somebody. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate what you do. Okay, item number 2, discussion and consideration of request by Ranger and Cisco College for hotel motel tax event funds for the sponsorship of the 2nd annual Ranger Roundup. John Steinman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So in 2019, Ranger College and Cisco College volleyball teams hosted the first Ranger Roundup tournament with 8 volleyball teams coming in, playing at both schools over a weekend. COVID wiped out last year's tournament, so we are looking to bring this tournament, or we are bringing this tournament back to Eastland over Labor Day weekend, September 3rd and 4th. We have 6 other teams joining us this year from 3 different states. We have schools from Texas, a school from Oklahoma, and a school from Kansas coming down to join us. 2 of those schools the top 10 in the country. So it's a very competitive tournament, and each team will be spending 2 nights in the city of Eastland and eating the majority of their meals within the city of Eastland and the county of Eastland. So we're here tonight looking for a sponsorship to help cover some of the costs incurred with these tournaments, so we can make it the best possible tournament we can, that they have a good time and that they want to come back in later years.
Okay, I have a deal here from the staff, and they recommend the awarding $3,500 total to the event, which is a $6,100 event. That's a little bit over half. So I think last year or 2 year 2019 we did $3,000.
That is correct. Yes.
So it's a little bit of a boost, and appreciate y'all doing that. Look, the Be a really good tournament, have a lot of people.
It really should, and hope to see some of y'all out there.
Are you gonna be eating in our town?
Yes, absolutely. Everyone will be eating in the town.
Sleeping in the town.
Eating, sleeping, they gotta go to Walmart, it's gonna be in the town, so, it's gonna bring a lot of business into the city of Eastland.
Sleeping in Eastland is what matters, head in the bed.
Yes, they will
Hotel
all be
motel
spending
tax.
2 nights in the hotel.
Well, it's hotel motel tax money. is what it's
Right.
So 2 years ago, we gave you 3,000, and,
Yes.
Staff's recommending 3,500. I move we give them 3,500 for the volleyball tournament.
Second.
Got a motion from Zach, a second from Ben, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck. Number 3, discussion and consideration to authorize Infotech, Todd, to utilize alternative methods other than competitive bidding for the procurement of construction services associated with the Technical Development Board, and we've got Mr. Scott Hay, the man with the plan.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. I'm here tonight to visit with you about our recommendation to utilize an alternative procurement method for construction contract involving the upcoming Water Development Board water line replacement project that's been in the works for a number of years already. Have my slides up here. Is everything ready to go? So next slide, if you would, Tony. Overview of what we plan to cover tonight quickly is cover the traditional method that the city is very well aware of, the design bid build method that you've used for all your previous projects. Talk a little bit about that, and then talk about the alternative method being specifically competitive seal proposals, and then provide you a recommendation. Next slide, please, Tom. You guys are familiar with the typical design bid build process. It's what's most commonly used, but more and more these days entities are switching to some of the other alternative methods that are allowed by Texas government code. There's a number of reasons for that. The primary one why we are recommending tonight we look at a different one than that is because it's been such a long time since the budget was put together for this Water Development Board project, and where we've seen bid prices go in the last 2 years, especially because of what's happened with the pandemic and how that's affected construction contracts. The pricing is escalated dramatically, and all projections that we have indicate that the waterline project that we have planned will not bid in the money. That it's actually going to bid over the budget that has been set aside for it. In a typical design bid build application, you really have, you're very limited in your options. Once we present the project, if it does bid over the money, really the only option you have is awarding it to the low bidder unless there's some reason why they don't meet the qualifications that were set about in the bid documents. And then you have to basically award the contract to them for the bid price. And then we would have some flexibility in negotiating price of the contract at that point after it was already awarded. But you're limited to up to 25% of the contract. That's the maximum amount that you could bid, or that you could move the contract price basically what was advertised. The other methods, particularly the competitive seal proposal method, well, let's go to the next slide first, if you would, Tony, please. Some of the disadvantages that the design bid build process offers causes is low bid contractor selection increases risk of change order disputes and claims. You've got a very strict and defined project scope, and there is very little flexibility. And most contractors, especially in this day and age, are going to request a change order if you alter from that process at all. And that's usually to the detriment of the owner, because change orders typically cost money. So that restricts the entity somewhat. The owner bears the majority of the risk with contract documents. There's significantly reduced collaboration between the design engineer and the contractor in the typical design bid build process. All we're really doing is checking to make sure they're building it to the specs that were bid, and there's really no change involved in that. And there's minimal, probably the most important disadvantage of the typical design bid build process is really the only significant contractor consideration you can consider when awarding the bid is the cost of the project. Basically, low bid is going to win unless there's some significantly overriding factor. Some of the typical alternative methods, particularly the competitive sealed proposal method, next slide please, Tony, allows the entity to consider other non-cost factors in selecting the contractor that you choose for the contract, as well as cost factors. Basically, it allows that flexibility by defining the things that will be considered when you choose a contractor in the bid documents. Everybody is aware of those, and then they're all advertised, and then the owner, and if you want me involved or our engineering firm involved in the scoring of the proposals, we would do that with you to see, judge how each of the contractors that provided a proposal for the project met the requirements that were established in the bid documents. And then an overall composite score is established for those that presented a proposal to the city, and then the city has the opportunity to basically award the project to the selected contractor and then begin a negotiation of the scope and price of the contract. That's where it varies differently from the typical design bid build. So in this particular case, where we expect the project to bid outside of the money, the more flexibility that I think we can present or give the city in selecting the right contractor to do the job and be able to negotiate the project down to what the budget that we have available is going to be a benefit to the city, because otherwise, if we were doing the old method, the only option you'd have is to throw them out and go back through the process again. And this allows that good flexibility, plus it's pretty important to score some of those non-cost factors, in my opinion, of a contractor, because I've done this for almost 30 years now, and you can't have a contractor that will meet most of the requirements in the project and not have a very good reputation. If you do some of the due diligence that we would typically do after, in a design bid build process, we would do after the project's already been awarded to them, you may find out that it's a contractor that you may not want to be doing business with for other reasons because of prior experience on other projects. Whereas this approach, those are all up front and they're all involved in the scoring process. And the city has the flexibility to change those, or to choose, I should say, the scoring criteria that bring the most benefit to the city. Next slide, please, Tony. Like I said, there's more and more entities that are going to some of the alternative delivery methods, and this is just an example from the Water Design Build Council of some of the scoring criteria that the entities that have used this recently, why they've done so, and what they feel like that process offered the city. Next slide, please. The alternative delivery method of the CSP is authorized, like I said, under the Texas state statutes. This next part is very similar to design bid build project in that you have to advertise the project and you have to establish the scoring criteria, and they have to be published in the proposal or in the advertisement. But in a typical design bid build, really the only scoring criteria is the cost and not some of the non-cost factors. So that's the part that would be different. We would typically hold a pre-proposal meeting to allow contractors to ask questions about the project. Addendum would be issued if necessary, typically just like the design bid build. And then we would have a public proposal opening, very similar to a bid opening. But the main difference is we would be able to score those non-cost factors as well. And then also engage, once you've selected a contractor, to engage with them to negotiate the scope and the price of the project, hopefully with the end result being achieving a project that you could move forward with without going back through that process again, which saves a lot of time and money, because it's obviously costly to advertise a project and put it out through the bidding process. So then the recommendation of award would be made once the scoring has been done. And just so the city knows, we've used this process on multiple Texas Water Development Board funded projects before, and they don't have an issue with it at all. It obviously is spelled out very closely in the Texas Government Code, a process on which we have to go through, one of which is the local governing body deciding that method is the best value for the city, and that's what we're here for tonight. If the commission chooses to that this method would help the city and be the best value for the city, and establish that tonight via a motion, then we could move forward with that process. Basically, once it's awarded, you can sign the contract and start construction. Next slide, please. I thought it would be helpful to kind of give you an idea of the draft scoring criteria. These are ones that we've used on other Water Development Board projects for projects similar to this one. But realize that these are our draft, and the city has the flexibility to add or delete or modify or change the weighted criteria associated with any of these criteria. But we tried to use ones that would give a broader picture of the capability of a contractor beyond just the price that they bid at the bottom line to construct the project. So we do have price and the completion time weighted most heavily of any of the criteria at 40 points in our draft criteria. We have 20 points established to the current and completed projects and references, so that we can take a good look and talk with some of the entities that they've done projects for in the past, see if they're happy with their performance, if there's been any problems during construction or after construction, unwillingness to come back and support a warranty claim, anything like that we would want to know about, and we would want, if those kind of things have happened, they would negatively impact the contractor's score. Project management ability, we want to know a little bit about their team. We've got that weighted at 25 points, which is fairly significant at a quarter of the score. Resumes of the project manager, superintendents. We want to know if they're going to be on site or if they're going to be managing from afar, which some contractors will try to do, and sometimes that's problematic. It depends on their team. But provide the names of their next slide, please, Tony. I'm sorry. Provide the names of the superintendents, their experience level, and another thing that's important that I don't have on the slide that we would probably want to include would be how much of the project is the general contractor that's proposing on the project actually going to do in the project. Sometimes there are general contractors that will sub out 80% of the project to subcontractors, and they really don't have much skin in the game. So I'm going to want to know what their plan is going into this, on how much of the project they actually intend to carry out themselves. Then we'd want to take a look at their financial stability, most recent certified audited financial statement, along with bank references. Next slide. Providing a standing, their notice of standing with the Secretary of State and the Comptroller's Office. And then finally, their safety record. They have a decent safety record, and we probably worked through their workers' comp supplier to get a measure of that, total of 100 points. And
You know that doesn't total up to 100 points.
It was supposed to, but.
Those are flex.
95?
Like I said, the city can adjust those as necessary. But my apologies.
You're an engineer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's on math guy, he's an engineer, we understand.
But that's the process, and you would establish a local scoring committee. I would recommend it would be at least JJ and probably your public works folks, maybe 1 or 2 members of the commission. If you want us to participate as well, we can help score that, and then once we go through that scoring process, it's very clear on who's going to come out on top, and then we would engage with that contractor, very similar to the way you would engage with a low bidder, but you've considered an awful lot more criteria that I think are very important to the project prior to doing so.
While you're taking a breath, we've got a lot of people here, I want them to know what we're talking about here. I think it's really important that they, how long have we been trying to do this project? Over a year.
Well, over 2 years, actually. It's probably more like 3 from when the very first application was put in that established the budget for the project.
This is to put in the new water line.
Yes, sir. New pump line from the majority of the way. It's going to go basically from Dairy Queen up to the hospital. We've already replaced from the hospital up to the elevated tank in a previous project.
What everybody needs to hear, we've been trying to do this for 2 or 3 years. This is to, we just had to do a boil water notice 2 or 3 weeks ago because the water line broke. We had the water line break again this past weekend. We didn't do a boil water, but it went down again. This line is to replace that line, and we're gonna keep that line and have dual service. And if one of them breaks, we've got a backup system. It's, I know as people, I get very frustrated, especially when our our businesses have to put on boiled water and can't serve drinks and stuff or whatever. That's very frustrating for everybody. We haven't been sitting around wondering what's happening. I want the people to know, it's been 3 years waiting on Texas Water Development Board.
Yes.
And still waiting.
Yes.
For the Texas Water Development Board, and hopefully we get some push from them to get that done. I want y'all to understand what we're talking about here. This has been a long-standing and very frustrating
Because
process.
it's been long and COVID came in here, it's really, really affected the pricing. And the budget was established 3 years ago when we put the project.
If it hadn't been for COVID, the budget too would have been in trouble.
Yes.
So, Scott didn't have gray hair when we started this.
Mayor, I haven't heard anything negative about it.
No,
I've got a question.
we've done this rating process real quick. I've been involved several times with Ron where we've done and rated, I don't know what all we've done it on, but several projects that we've done and had to rate people for, and it's pretty good, pretty interesting trying for contractors. So.
Yeah, this sounds really good, and I really like the flexibility that we have with it. This competitive seal proposal. So it sounds like you, the engineer, work more closely with the contractors in this type of competitive seal proposal. Is that right?
We can, and that's one of the flexibilities that I think it brings an advantage to the city, because as you can imagine, on every project that you do, there are things that come up in the project that were not known when the project was
Conditions
designed.
on the field change.
Yes, and we have the ability in this approach to engage with the contractor and discuss that and do what we call value engineering, which is, changes sometimes that are suggested by the contractor. A good contractor will come forward and say, engineer, you've got it designed this way. Here's another method. Would you consider this to do it this way, where we could do it less expensively? And as long as we think it holds with the design intent, and it will give this owner of the same service, and there aren't cutting corners that are going to affect the life of the project as the owner would need it to, we would certainly consider it. And this allows us to do that more freely than the typical design bid build, because in that approach, he's going to offer up a change order, and we're going to have to live with a cost that he's assigned to that change order regardless, where in this method, there's some negotiation involved.
Yeah.
We can say, I don't really quite agree with the valuation that you have on that particular item. Let's talk about that a little bit and see if we can find some middle ground that will save the owner some money but still accomplish the goals of the project.
So you're providing extra services, I guess, doing it this way. So I guess your firm would be making a little more, I guess, than the old way.
Our fee won't change. Our fee's already been established. It was established when we put the budget into the Water Development Board, which is to our detriment because we typically are paid based on the construction cost, and the construction cost is going to be significantly more than our fee is based on, in my opinion, from what we see right now. But we will hold with our fee. So.
Mayor, for many
Good questions, Zach.
For many years, Scott has helped the city to save money on projects such as this, and I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the competitive seal proposal.
Second.
Got a motion from Cecil, and a second from Zach to do the competitive seal proposal. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's the main thing, keep the water reliable going to the tank.
Man, tell you what, it's a process. All right, number 4, discuss consideration of first reading of ordinance 21870, an ordinance of the city of Eastland outlawing abortion within the city limits of Eastland, declaring Eastland a sanctuary city for the unborn, making various provisions and findings, providing a severability, and establishing an effective date. I have in front of me, the plan is the same as before, keep it short and sweet, so I'll do a really good job. Beth King, yours is on top.
Thank you. As you know, I'm still against abortion. My mind has not changed one bit. The thing I want to remind y'all of are our good people that their mothers did not abort. One little girl, Church of Christ, one morning, her name's Catherine. Everybody's singing, standing on the promises. We're all just right into it. Mr. Larry, little Catherine's family, and we all quit singing. That precious adopted child is sitting there singing for all of us. Beautiful, beautiful voice. That girl was adopted. And I've never forgotten that. Everybody else has forgotten that. I will never forget that. That precious child singing on the promises of God. This is not a political stunt. This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with our children. We can't make it without our children. We're not our children. We cannot stand and let our children be aborted. We love them. We've got to protect them. I'm against abortion. No abortion in Eastland County. Praise God. Thank y'all very much. Please pass this. I sure appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that passion, and everyone here has the same passion. We're tired of abortion. Some disagree with me, but I believe what we have allowed for almost 50 years is bringing judgment on our nation.
Yes.
And it should have been stopped. It should have been squashed immediately. Those who were on the Supreme Court should have been fired at the time. And everyone here has the same passion. They may struggle in sharing their passion, and sometimes because of that they don't. Myself, my adrenaline gets to flowing, and I have to try to sequester that. but we're tired of babies dying. It's almost 50 years now. This is nothing to glamour in, but certainly it's something that should be brought to our attention. 50 years in the Old Testament is the year of Jubilee, when they were set free. And we need to set our babies free. And I know people get in a quandary, well, what about these little girls that are going to have sex? What about their babies? I believe the next ordinance we should pass is it is illegal in Eastland to have sex if you're not married. Somebody said that's impossible, but I guess it was about 4,000 years ago. I know someone personally that gave that ordinance to Moses. And it's time that we turn our communities and our own hearts back to what is right. Right now, Governor Abbott is which one is he trying to get across? Zach, do you remember what bill he's trying to get across? The mail-in on the pharmaceutical. He's trying to outlaw the mail-in pharmaceutical that will kill the babies. I appreciate him for that. If he was here, he and I might have something else that we disagree on, but I appreciate him for that. And then a bill is being presented that will ban abortion in the state of Texas 100%. If we had fought this fight almost 50 years ago, like we should have. Some of us were so young we didn't even know what this was. I know. We wouldn't be dealing with it today. But let me share this final thought. Isn't it sad? Isn't it a shame that somehow when we talk about these things publicly, we feel pressure and as though we don't know if we should be doing this, what is the backlash and so forth. I'm just thankful that our men and women who are fighting for our freedoms and for our lives aren't afraid to stand in, and they're willing to give their life. We should be willing to give everything we have to save these children. And what I would like to, we can talk about the butterfly effect, whether we do it, whether we don't. I just think sometimes it's vital that we make a big splash. Yes. And not try to figure out the outcomes of what may or may not happen, because these little babies, it's life and death. And I would like to ask, because see, we're in a quandary here. Do we thank you for receiving this today? Because we're struggling. Shouldn't we have done this last month? Yes. But then the biggest quandary is almost 50 years we put it off. And if we can make the right decisions today, we can influence the next one that's struggling. And they're everywhere. And if a city can make the right decision, it will help our state legislature and even national. And I just believe it would have to be possible that we could accept it tonight without a second reading, possibly saving one life, maybe more, if we talk about a ripple effect. But I'd love to make a big splash. Anyway, God bless y'all. I love every one of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Go ahead.
Second.
You, Chuck Henry?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to make some comments. After hearing some of the comments made last month in regard to biblical law versus the law of the land, and considering those comments, I want to say tonight that yes, pro-life and anti-murder laws agree with biblical law. but many of our laws in our country are based on biblical law. And to the extent that they are, we've been a blessed country. And so I urge you, don't let the fact that pro-life anti-murder law agrees with biblical law, don't let that scare you away from enacting strong pro-life law. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that it?
Was that right? That is me again. All right, everybody. First of all, thank you, everybody, for coming over here. It shows to me that the community has a strong support for this bill that we discussed. Knowingly, you are giving voice to those that have no voice. Now, let me see what I can do. There is a movie by Disney. Now he knows that I watch cartoons. It's called A Bug's Life. I don't know if you've seen it. The movie opens with these ants on a very nice line carrying food because they do prepare for whatever is coming. Okay, and all of a sudden this leaf falls on the path and they all crazy, they don't know what to do. And then a leader jumps in front and says this first thing, he says, do not panic. That's the first one he says. And then he says, we are trained professionals. Yeah. And then he says, the third one says, we can go around the leaf. So the little guy says, I don't know if we can do that. And the fourth one, he says, this is nothing compared to the twig of 93. That's what he said. So, we have been presented with a proposal over here to allow abortion in the city of Eastland, which is fantastic. Like Pastor says, it's been 50 years in the making. All right? I'm glad that you guys are not panicking. I'm glad that you're not panicking. It shows to me and it shows to everybody over here that you guys are trained professionals. That's why you've been elected to those chairs that you are, because these people over here believe that you are trained professionals. Therefore, they believe that you can lead the city. They do.
Thank you.
Now, he spoke about last month. Yeah, we talked about this not being about the Bible, being about the legality of the documents. And that is very understandable because we're all afraid to get sued. I know that. Back on the 1700s, 1774, 1776, there was a bunch of men, 56, that gathered together because they were tired of oppression. They wanted to do what? Form their own country. And there was a problem with doing it because King George was brutal. I mean, I'm talking about, this guy was worse than the evil we're facing right now. But they decide to go ahead and do it anyways, knowing that they can lose not just their fortunes, but also their lives. They knew everything was on the line. But that dream was so big that they decided to go on ahead. And they didn't know how they were going to draft that document, but they did one thing that most of us do or should do. They got on their knees and asked that creator up there for the right words to draft that document. And boys, that document had lived for over 200 years. And it's still up there. And it's the best one in the world so far. So, they found a way to go around the leaf. So if we got problems with the legality of the voting, guess where we can go? We'll help you. We'll kneel down on our beds, to help you out, find out the right words that are required for this document to pass and the city to be safe. Once that's done, we're all going to find out that this leaf is nothing compared to the twig of 1776. Thank you much.
Thank you. I've got Leanne and Amanda Riffle. Leanne just says she's in support of this, and Amanda wants to speak.
I am a group of good example of why we should choose life. All of us are. My dad chose life for me. Instead of abortion, we need to properly educate our adults on their actions and the consequences of them. We can prevent the murder of innocent babies. I am standing up against abortion because it's murder, and murder is wrong. Babies are a blessing from God. Every action has consequence, no matter right or wrong. The reason babies are getting murdered is because people don't stand up against it. And that doesn't make it right. Imagine if your life wasn't given to you. Imagine all the love and happiness you had taken away from you because the parent decided it wasn't worth it or it's too much work. Thank you.
She came in and we were trying to sign, and so she does want to speak if she can, and I didn't write on.
Where is the little form? Who are you talking about?
Oh, Leanne Hutchison.
She does want to speak.
Yes, she does.
She's next.
If you allow that. Yep.
Well, she's next. She's on it. I got it.
Okay. Check the right thing.
I just wanted to share a little testimony. I left Eastland County in 2015 to go to college, and I really didn't know a whole lot about politics, much less abortion or gun control or anything like that. Throughout my years of college, I was in the communications department. And I can promise you there was not one professor there that supported my Christian values, that it was full of liberal ideology, and therefore there were a lot of confused young women in that department. I started speaking against abortion and for women's rights because it is a right for us to have children.
Amen.
And I cannot tell you how many times a woman would grab me, an 18-year-old girl would grab me and pull me in a study room and tell me, you know, I got raped last year and I had an abortion and I can't get over it. I don't know what to do. What places can I go to talk? What church can I go to? My boyfriend and I, we got pregnant and, you know, things went south and my family was telling me, you know, you need to just get an abortion, and I can't get over it. Outlawing abortion in Eastland is not just for the children. It's for the mothers.
Yeah.
It's for the uninformed women who don't know where to go to. You women do not want to have an abortion. They don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
As citizens of Eastland County, we need to reach out to those women and tell them exactly what abortion is.
Yeah.
It's evil and it's death is what it is.
That's right.
I'm telling you, if you do not outlaw abortion in Eastland County, we will be sitting right here discussing what life is important and what life is not important in 50 years. This is not about abortion right now. This is about life in general.
That's right.
I think it says Tammy Foster.
Yes, sir. Our young kids are so bombarded with the word abortion.
That's right.
They hear more about abortion than anything else. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, everybody will stand before God for what we taught the next generation.
That's right.
So we got to teach the next generation they can love their kids. I gave birth to my first child at 15. I made a lot of mistakes, but separation wasn't an option. We're going to be held accountable for what we hand down to the next generation. And today, life and death is set before y'all.
Right.
Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. And she's right. If we don't stand up, where's the boundary of darkness if light doesn't shine on it?
Yeah.
Because we're walking into it, the Jewish Holocaust. Today it's the little one who can't speak. Tomorrow it's the older ones who are the problem.
That's right.
Darkness don't have a boundary till somebody stands up. And y'all are the people who are able to stand up and start teaching our generations, you can choose life. And I pray for each and every one of y'all because God's watching our decisions that we're making. And our families, whether y'all believe it or not, will be affected off of what we choose. So I just pray that y'all choose life, because you guys are the leaders. Y'all can lead this community. Y'all been elected with faith from your voters that you'll do the right thing and the right choice. Eastland should not be caught in the stipulations of the culture that is trying to push murder on these women. And I just thank y'all. And hey, having a baby at an early age, that's not a bad thing. I promise. It saved my
Good to be here. You know, I don't always understand why we remember certain things from our childhood and forget other things, especially movies. There's a movie that came out. I was born in 1985, and there was a movie that came out in 1989 that I think many of us in here may have seen before. And I don't remember much about that movie at all, except for the introduction of that movie. And I was thinking about it while I was sitting here. Look Who's Talking came out in 1989. What I remember about that movie, Kirstie Alley, John Travolta, what I remember about that movie is the opening scene where the sperm is traveling to get to the egg. And I remember that very clear. It had some nice little music in the background. And then, of course, what happened the next year was Look Who's Talking 2. And then I think they did Look Who's Talking Now, maybe with dogs or something. But I remember seeing that just on regular TV, and I was looking back, and I was just kind of curious. It says, Look Who's Talking was a surprise hit, opening at #1 in the United States with 12,107,784 in its opening weekend, and staying at #1 for 5 weekends with grosses over 10 million each weekend. It says it eventually grossed 140 million, 88,813 domestically, and a worldwide total of 296,999,813, making it Travolta's most successful film in 11 years since Grease, and the 4th highest grossing movie of 1989. How could it be that movie that starts that way? And I know it's not completely accurate. Okay, I understand that, life begins at conception. The sperm doesn't talk. I understand that, but still, the principle's there. But how could it be that movie was so popular, yet we've missed it for so long? Today, you have an opportunity to pass an ordinance outlawing abortion within city limits. I understand 2 readings in order for that to take place. And I understand that you guys do not have any ability to do everything in one because of the city charter. Very clear of that. But this is a very important issue, of course, and I think the community here is been very vocal. As I've said before, we've had hundreds of people in the community. And I just stand behind you guys in the passage of this ordinance. And we're at 33 cities now. Centerville, Texas was the last one. And if there's any questions, more than willing to answer any questions that y'all might have.
Okay, thank you.
I have an opening statement.
Our next
whatever our next meeting, whatever, either budget, tax, whatever.
Our next meeting will be August. We don't know.
Go ahead.
Not.
I've got on top. Gus will do the same thing.
That's July 27th at noon
We don't know.
We don't know. We're gonna talk about that.
Okay. Hey, I want to personally thank everyone here tonight for coming out and being a part of this. Your representation here tonight means that you're speaking out for the unborn. You're speaking out for those who can't speak for themselves. Sanctuary city for the unborn. Let's speak the truth. An unborn child is a child. Abortion is a travesty, and it should not have been allowed to ever happen.
That's right.
Once life enters the womb, it must be protected. Protected from surgical removal and protected from pharmaceutical removal.
Yes.
Do you remember the movie Unplanned that starred Abby Johnson that came down here to the Majestic Theater? And it showed a pharmaceutical removal. They said, here's a pill. Take it home. You'll pass it. Call us if you have any issues. It was horrible. With the increase of telemedicine and because of the ease of use of just taking a pill, this could become easily, by far, the #1 way to abort a child. This ordinance prevents pharmaceutical abortions from happening in our town. And our town is not the only one in the fight. It's happening all over Texas. Step by step, things are happening. Here are some examples. Governor Abbott recently signed into law the heartbeat bill, saying that no abortions can be done if a heartbeat is detected. This law goes into effect September 1 and will stop so many innocent babies from being slayed in the womb. I praise God for this. Number 2. Governor Abbott has called a special session and listed as one of the agenda items on this that he would like to get accomplished in the session. It reads, abortion-inducing drugs. Legislation similar to Senate Bill 394, which prohibits people from providing abortion-inducing drugs by mail or by delivery service. It strengthens the law applicable to reporting the abortions and abortion complications and ensures that no abortion-inducing drugs are provided unless there is voluntary and informed consent. Governor Abbott wants this passed, and we should be doing our best to help them get this passed statewide. Number 3, here's another thing that's happening in the special session. State Rep Brian Slayton introduced House Bill 103, which would immediately ban abortions, saying that Texas is a free and independent state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States. In this, it references Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and he said, the Constitution does not constrain the state's ability to regulate or even prohibit abortion. We could be close to immediately banning abortion statewide. Number 4, 33 cities in Texas now have taken the bold stand to abolish abortion in their city limits, including Lubbock, Big Springs, and our neighbor to the south, Carbon, Texas. Things are happening in Texas, and Eastland should join them to become the 34th city.
Amen.
We shouldn't view this through a political lens where we don't want to make a decision because we're worried about certain blowback, or we're worried about what the media will say, or we're worried about all these extraneous factors. We should view this through a biblical lens. What does God say about it? Our Father in heaven is clear on this issue. He gave us the 10 Commandments. He said, thou shalt not kill. No one can create life except our Heavenly Father. He creates life in the womb, and then he says, thou shalt not kill. This is as simple as it gets. Thou shalt not kill. This ordinance is saying the same thing. You shall not kill by abortion in the city of Eastland. Let's do what is righteous before our Father in heaven. Let's pass this ordinance.
At the last meeting, I expressed some concerns about the legality of passing an ordinance such as this. I was opposed to some of the wording. You know, I don't like the word outlaw. I think it should be prohibit rather than outlaw. But since that night, I've done a lot of contact with our legal counsel. I prayed about it, and despite some of my reservations about the wording, I would like to make a motion to pass this ordinance.
We'll get this done faster if y'all stop doing that. Got a motion from Cecil to pass ordinance 21-870. Got a second from Zach. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So this is the first reading of the ordinance. We have to have a second reading before it becomes official. And the mayor told me earlier today that when our next meeting is, it will be on there for the second reading, which may be July 27th.
Understand, let me explain the flexibility of the confusion. We're in the budget and tax process, and we're at the mercy of the appraisal district and getting the tax numbers and getting all it done. So be paying attention. Whatever our next meeting is, we'll do the second reading. It may be right now, the 27th is our next meeting. If we don't have that, the meeting after that's August 16th, which is our regular meeting, the third Monday night of the month.
And my birthday.
Whatever the next meeting is, do what?
My birthday.
Your birthday. We will do it. Whatever the next meeting is, it'll be on that agenda. So just know that. We're not trying to, and that could be a noon meeting or something, so if that's inconvenient, sorry about that. But we'll do the second reading at the earliest time, okay? And I don't know what the appraisal district's gonna do, so we can do it. Thank you.
Can we go?
Thank you.
Can we go?
No, you have to stay here. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ben. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you for being here.
You haven't been leaving your water on. I'm proud of you. We'll watch out for you.
Okay, we ready to go? I'm ready to go. Item number 5.
Y'all look my sisters. Y'all look exactly.
It'll be on YouTube. It's on YouTube now. It's live streaming on YouTube. This is MicroplexNews.com. Yeah.
Finish the meeting, yeah.
So,
And it'll be on there recorded where you can pull it up later. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Item number 5, discuss consideration second reading ordinance 21-869, adding provision regarding the new columbarium and for cremains.
This is what we talked about last month. Our ordinances do not allow us for the use of a columbarium, and all this is doing at this time is giving us that option to put one in if somebody wants to be that.
I move we accept the second reading of ordinance 21-869.
Second.
A motion from Zach and a second from Cecil to approve ordinance 21-869. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 6, discuss consideration second reading ordinance 21-871, a budget amendment.
JEXA, this goes back to our ancillary costs from the winter storm. Even though we had no power in this city for days on end, our wonderful energy provider has decided to hit us with what they call ancillary costs, and we will pay approximately $4,000 a month until December of 22, when our contract is up, for a total of $81,500.
Are we able to regain any of that from the money the government gave us and stuff? Are we able to claim that at all?
No.
What does that have to do with amending the budget?
But we don't. Yeah.
We had to put the $4,000 payments in there
Yeah.
for June, July, August, and September.
For this budget?
For this budget.
I see,
For
the
this
current
budget.
budget.
It'll be in next.
I got you. I understand. And this is the second reading of it.
Yes.
I move we accept the second reading of ordinance 21-871.
Second.
Motion from Zach. Did you say second, Ben? Second from Ben. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7. Discuss consideration second reading ordinance 21-872, an ordinance of the city of Eastland, Texas, changing the zoning and designation of property described as lots 1 to 5, block 70 of the Daugherty addition to the city of Eastland from a single-family residential district to a general business district, amending the zoning district map for the city of Eastland reflecting such change, and adopting the zoning district map so amended.
Yes, this is for the,
Second reading.
yes, sir.
Storage.
Yes, sir.
Storage of building.
I move we accept the second reading of ordinance 21-872.
Motion from Zach and second from Cecil to approve ordinance 21-872. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 8, discuss consideration second reading of ordinance 21-873, an ordinance of the city of Eastland, Texas, changing the zoning use designation of property described as part of Lot 4 and all of Lots 5 and 6 of Block 10 of the Calhoun addition to the city of Eastland from a manufactured housing district to a light industrial district, amending the zoning district map of the city of Eastland reflecting such change, and adopting the zoning district map so amended. What is this?
This one was MJ's that we did earlier last year.
Oh.
What's the property?
It's the burgers place going up on College.
That's right.
For the burgers.
I move that we accept on second reading ordinance 21-873.
Second.
Motion from Cecil and a second from Zach to approve ordinance 21-873. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. City manager briefing.
Okay. It may not look like we have done a lot this month, but I promise you, we have, between 2 major water leaks. One, we are getting prices right now. The last one we had to fix, like it needs to be fixed. Bobby will tell you, it couldn't have happened in a worse spot. And the issue with it is, we actually didn't, the line itself didn't bust. It's an air relief valve.
Well, it's some kind of a tap, a future tap, because you're not gonna put an air relief valve in the lowest part of the pipe. So it had to be a tap that was already in the line. They just happened to end up right there.
In the middle of the creek.
Yeah, in the middle of the creek. I saw the picture of that, doesn't it?
Yeah. We're working on that right now. We think we've got the one out there on the Bellhurst buttoned up. Wastewater treatment plant, Texas Water Development Board, not the one we need to talk to, the other division of that, came out, did their final walkthrough, and sent their report to Austin. He stated that everything looked good and we were doing fine. We're just waiting for them to finally sign off on that. The pump line we were talking about this morning, how to secure the bids for it. It is sitting in Austin. We are waiting for them to quit dragging their feet and say, you have our blessing. Downtown sidewalk repairs, I talked to Mr. Perry, Jordan Perry, the engineer. We had a meeting last week. It's still on their scope, but as the mayor's favorite words, COVID has pushed it back. Same thing with the signal and the 343 ramp. It's still gonna happen. It's just been pushed back until we can get it. With the recent floods, we're working to check all our stormwater drainage systems. Bobby and them have walked everything that they could possibly can. We're still trying to find somebody that has the right equipment to come and run cameras to see where we have issues and how we can correct those issues. Red Star, tomorrow we're having a public hearing to close out that process. McLaw has sent all his stuff in and we're good to go there. So it seems. We fixed 45 potholes last month. It doesn't seem like a great number, but
How many you got to go?
473,000. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Any questions over my report?
All right, who's next? Code compliance.
Yes, sir. Started June with 37 cases. Terry opened 49 new ones, closed 44, left us with 42 for the month. Had 5 junk vehicles. 3 citations were issued. 1 was for junk vehicle as a repeat. 1 was an unlawful property nuisance, unsanitary conditions on property, high weeds and grass. And 1 was an off-street parking in the front or side of your yard on the grass. 2 cases reported for back taxes, had 3 annual notices. Fines assessed for the month, $1,286. Had $753.50 of fines paid. Had 1 guy apparently want to sit it out instead. Total fines served in jail, $1,536. We did dismiss $918 in fines. This is what I had mentioned last month. We had somebody that was in jail and could not take care of the issue whenever fines were assessed. So to be fair, we removed those citations from them until they got to a point where they could take care of the problem that they were getting the citation for.
That's a pretty good excuse for not taking care of the property.
Well, I mean, at least they were accounted for, yes, sir. Total fines paid, total fines, 3,961. Any questions?
Is that happening all of a sudden in June because of the changes at the sheriff's department?
No, we had taken care of this. We had got this ball rolling earlier in the year, but Terry has been waiting to get the reports from the jail, and so he was finally able to get a report that showed one of ours that was actually sitting it out.
Now, how much credit do they get per day for sitting it out in jail?
Honestly, I don't know. That's something that Dina with the courts would probably know better than me.
It's like $100. I think it's $100 for 8 hours.
Okay. And it costs us how much to keep them?
$33.50 now.
$33.50 per day.
Yes, sir.
Well, we'll say one of our problem houses in town, I guess the contractor, we're gonna call him, came by. We did offer our water services roll-off dumpster at our cost just to try to help get this thing going. Yes, sir. Federal government food. Yeah, that's cleanup's supposed to be taken pretty soon.
Yeah.
They are doing something over there now?
Yes, sir. They're actually coming in and meeting with us to get things set up.
Yeah.
Beforehand, it was somebody that was being sent out there by the company that's, I guess.
Well, when are they going to meet with us?
I'm sorry?
When are they going to meet to get it started?
We've been meeting with them.
I don't know when the actual physical on-site start date is. I can visit with Terry and try to have that for you.
Well, I just get my hair cut Wednesday morning, and I get asked every 2 weeks.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's one that we've been, we've on our side of it's been trying to take care of it for, for a year.
Oh, I know.
And it's just.
I just thought if we had some movement, it'd be nice to be able to tell them we've actually done something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, based on what had happened in the last couple of months, it's one of those things where as soon as we see it, we know what's happening.
It's 3 weeks. I guess that lady's never come back to town.
No, from what I understand, she's down at the coast, down around Houston somewhere hiding out.
Good deal. What else?
I think that's pretty much it. We did, as far as planning and working with the fire marshal, we have the CEO paperwork sitting up front now. So whenever somebody comes in to do a commercial water account, they'll have that to fill out for us. That way we know exactly what they're doing, that it's going to meet with zoning before water's even approved to be turned on. And then as soon as we sure that that's taken care of, Branch will be able to set an appointment with them to do an inspection and do the walkthrough. And if there's anything that needs to be taken care of, we can give them. I think we've set up for how many days for a reinspection? Or do you know?
I don't remember.
I think it's either 60 days or 90 days for a reinspection to have a full CO.
Okay. Anything else for Tony? All right, Chief.
Good evening.
Thank
you. This is our June incident analysis. We had a little dip in runs. We're still very fortunately hanging out in a lot of spring-like weather, and it's kind of kept us from some of our typical activity this time of year. We made 45 calls for service. That dropped us to 1.5 calls a day coming out of the house. 34 of those incidents took place in the city and 7 took place in the county, and we responded out to 4 mutual aid calls for assistance. We installed 1 smoke detector, and we answered 6 calls for service after 10 o'clock and before 7 in the morning. We participated, attended 1 structure fire. Again, that takes us to a total of 14 for the year. We're running about 2.3 structure fires a month. Pretty active on that type of activity. 2 grass fires, 0 vehicle fires. We assisted the EMS service 21 times for medical assistance, and 5 motor vehicle accidents, 7 public assist, and then 9 investigation type false alarms. We had no members voted on or applications. We do actually have applications in the queue, but we haven't had them voted on yet. During the month of June, July 28th, June 28th, 2021, we lost a 35-year veteran fire department, firefighter Gordon Woolen, passed away. Fire department does want to thank everyone who participated and attended the services. We want to thank the police department with their assistance in our procession, where we had the final service at the football field. We felt that was very nice. Also, our 911 communication center participated with the last call dispatch. Just again, prime example of some good teamwork in the county. Everybody put
last call deal.
It gets some strings, doesn't it?
Strings.
So yeah. But so we just wanted to mention Gordon Woolen. Also, his unit number kind of is part of the fire department business in the making. We did retire the unit number 17 that will forever be with Gordon. And we're also going to be amending some bylaws to set some historic or some fire department procedures that will carry on through that from now on. In June, we hosted a countywide command and communication meeting. A majority of all the fire departments in the county were represented, and we're moving towards a common communication and command process and procedure. And that kind of brings us back up to the mutual aid incidents. You can see we've had 19 mutual aid incidents where we're in someone else's jurisdiction participating in emergency incident activities. that doesn't reflect the number of times we've had other agencies in our jurisdiction assisting us. So that common communication and command practice and procedure is even more important. And so we together agreed and built this system, and now we're in the implementation and training stages, and we look forward to that, providing more efficient emergency management of incidents, and also it will significantly increase the safety of fire ground and hazard zone safety. We will be establishing our dates for our Citizen Fire Academy. We're looking for September, so we ask the public to monitor our Facebook page, and we'll be sending those out, trying to set those dates, get some participants. We encourage anyone and everyone to sign up. It's to be a little educational and a lot of fun. And it's just a kind of a peek behind the scenes. We kind of show you what we do and how we do things. It won't be a long event, but we'll have probably about 5 activities we'll touch on. So please look for that. We hope to have a big participation in that. And then we're also prepping for our October fire prevention. We'll be setting our dates for our open house, and those activities will be fun, be neat. And the last thing I have is I sincerely want to talk about the Public Works Department. On July 4th, the weekend, the water main break that took place, the one that took place here last weekend, I just went out on site to see if there was anything that a fireman could do to be a part. The city manager is covered in mud. Bobby's out. Man, these guys are digging in. And I just wanted to tell you, man, that I appreciate what you guys are doing, the communication with us, helping us stay abreast of what's going on. And thank y'all, you and your team, for your efforts. I got to see it firsthand. So thank you for your time. Any questions?
Bobby, I was asking you, thank you, Joe, appreciate it. Anything else for Joe? Bobby, I was gonna ask, and compliment your guy, you and your guys, being able to fix that leak. I know in the past, when that same spot had leaked, we've had to call contractors to come do that. And y'all, your team has now got the ability where y'all can do it yourselves. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
It's broken enough, y'all learned how to fix it. Is that the real truth?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Man, that's above and beyond. I know y'all were out there all day long. Wow. Yeah. That's a...
You know what you see on Facebook is people ranting and raving about the water not being on and this, that, and the other. Not knowing these guys are out there in the mud and the cold water.
But it could have just as easily been 30 degrees out there and not could be out there doing it. And I did. We take our hat off to you. People don't. And that's why I brought up when we had that other deal and what he was talking about. And, you know, people see that and think the city doesn't care and all that. You know, we've been fighting 3 years to fix that problem. We are trying to do something to get that, you know, we're going to still have water leaks, but at least you don't lose, you have to boil water and lose your business and all that and go through that hassle and those type of things, you know. All you need is another water line to take care of it. We appreciate you, and we can't pay you enough for what you do, sir. I think, police department report, you gonna go first, then we'll go into executive session?
However you want me to do it, Mayor.
I don't know. Is there a reason for doing him? Can he go, then we'll go to executive session? Okay.
Yeah. There's no
Go ahead.
We had another high month. In fact, for calls, it was the second highest month since the fiscal year started. We're writing a bunch of offense reports. Our arrests we didn't have that many arrests, but you look at the number of cases that we filed with the DA, we had 21. And on the citations and the warnings, we had to take 7 citations and change those to warnings, so the actual numbers, and it'll be corrected on your sheet next, but it'll be 178 citations and 444 warnings, and that's I told a couple of y'all before we started the meeting, that's being down 2 guys, two positions. Zach Squirrel started on the 28th of this month and is a hometown boy, and he'll go through several months, 3 or 4 months of field training before we can kind of cut him loose. But I always like hiring local guys because, you know, they've got a vested interest in the community and want to make their community better, you know. And so really looking forward to him. Blake Pence, our animal control officer, started the academy today. So we're looking forward to her completing that. It's about a 5-month process. But I talked to Mr. Osnick about it and stuff, and you know, tired of being reactive. I mean, we've struggled trying to fill these positions with not that many people applying, you know, and so we know her work ethic, we know her integrity, and so this will front load an applicant that we can use. She'll come back if there's not an opening. Hopefully there's not for her sake, but I mean, I hope there's not one. But she'll come back and she'll do animal control duties, but she'll be licensed as a peace officer, and we'll be able to use her to cover shifts, and eventually, hopefully I can talk to you guys and let me hire another officer where we can cover our town of 4,000 a little bit better. So anyway, that's my report, unless you guys have any questions.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Anything
sir.
else for the chief? Thank you. Thank all of you for the job you do. Executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel matters. We will do that, and we're going at 7:29. Is the chief coming with us?
Yes, he's coming with us.
JJ, I'm in Eastland, right? Okay. Bye, everyone.
If I went back out.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Run while you can. When we start budget workshop.
Okay, should I review it?
Good to be back.
All three of you.
Okay.
Tell me when.
It's you, Barry. I see it, 20, what did that say, 38? 7:38. House show is returning to regular session at 7:38. Is there any business to be taken care of from our executive session?
I move that we approve variance to the nepotism policy.
So we've got a motion to approve the nepotism policy of the police department under Chief Fulham's supervision. Got a second from Zach. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Budget workshop. Hot diggity dog.
I know you are happy about this.
I am happy. Can I go with you? Okay. Where would you like to start, sir?
I'm gonna start with telling you my methodology behind where I come up with my numbers and stuff like that. I like data. I like historical data. So I spent hours combing through our encode system, going back and seeing where we have and haven't hit our marks, revenues and expenditures, in every single line item. Now you will see some line items that are empty. That's just because we used to have every vehicle listed with a maintenance line and stuff like that. Okay. I did away with that and put it into one line item per department. Albert down at the warehouse, he keeps up with, what trucks had this and what truck had that. It frees up. It gives us more flexibility where it doesn't look like we're running over in certain line items and audits and stuff like that. I went with a 3-year average throughout the low, throughout the high, any outliers that I found. I just feel it gives us a better overall, better picture of where we stand and stuff like that. Now, with this first reading of this budget, we all know this is a working document. This thing evolves rapidly over time. The deal with the property tax, we don't have any numbers. Zero. I don't even want to speculate where we're going to end up on this deal.
He gave us the certified values today.
Late.
But that for those of y'all who've been here before, that certified value goes on the top line of the worksheet and then just gets chipped away at after that from your exemptions, your freezes. So we can't even really look at the certified value and get a great idea of what our tax is going to be because of the subtractions that happen after the first line. And the problem is, I'm sorry for all the confusion of the calendar because we had the calendar all set. And then Randy at the appraisal office called and said, the state has put certain restrictions on him. He has to send a postcard to every citizen that has proposed rates and stuff on it. So he needs information from us by a certain date. And at the time we were speaking, he told me that, we're going to have to move our calendar up for him to be able to meet his deadline. And I said, well, okay, but you have to give us your stuff. And he had planned on giving us the tax worksheet this week. And so I changed the whole calendar and came up with all the new dates where we'll meet Randy's dates and everything. And then I did that on Monday, and I guess on Thursday, I get an email from Randy that says the state is not going to have his worksheet form ready until the end of the month.
Wow.
which puts us right back to where we were.
Yes.
But our old calendar is not gonna meet his deadline, so I'm not sure how this is all gonna work. So,
We get 4 days head start, so let us know when to meet.
well, we will, yeah, I
If
mean.
we have to, if we get word we need to meet, we'll just get a hold of everybody and as soon as we can get together and have a quorum, we'll go.
We will.
I mean, and like I said, we're sorry.
Well, it's not your fault. We go through this every year. It's the same. It's a
Well,
convoluted
I
mess.
think the problem is that the state, I don't know that the whole state has gone back to work yet in the office. And so they're so far behind on everything.
Well, they weren't very efficient to begin with.
Well, there you go.
Well, I don't mean, we go through this every year and now they've got an excuse to be lousy.
Well, but yet they have put a deadline on him that he has to send those postcards out. And, you know, it may be kind of a little bit of a rush for us to get things done in order to meet his deadline unless they give him a little extra time. So, again, I apologize that it's all messed up, but there's really just not anything we can do about it. And it makes it hard to work on your budget when you just don't know, because with the valuations going up, you know, that will probably lower our effective tax, well, not effective, no new tax rate. And, you know, so we're just kind of in a quandary. Sorry, JJ.
No, I mean, it was right. You're right. It just, you don't know what to say. You want to yell and scream, but it doesn't do any good. But back to this. I mean, as you can see, I mean, our revenues are still, they're doing okay. I'm not, this is a working document. These things are going to evolve. And I will say our sales tax number, where it's sitting right now, me and Leslie, the last 2 months that were record high, we threw those numbers out as outliers for the time being. And just so we can see where we can level out.
What numbers out?
The was it 170?
The ones that were the high record.
177 and 156. We threw those out when we were working on that number right there.
Okay.
Just for the time being until we figure out where we're going to level out at this. Because a city our size, that sales tax number is very, very important because it can really move a budget in the wrong direction in a hurry if you overproject. So, with that being said, questions on that? Nope. I will say we went through the capital request portion of it. I got them from the department heads. I've identified what I feel that we can fund first, and my number one.
It's under the capital request tab that's after
I see
city
it.
shop.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's right before number 7.
What is the number one thing we hear in this town?
Streets.
Yeah. Potholes? There you go.
I just heard about it on Sunday.
There you go. Yeah, it's streets.
We've got a lot more rain, which is causing it.
The flooding.
Don't give him any leeway. Don't even go there. No.
I agree. I mean, really, our street guys are doing the best they can with what they
This
have.
Durapatcher, I looked it up online. It's a pretty neat little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just does it faster or better material.
Well, it's material. Basically, your mini. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're basically mini seal coating a pothole.
Pretty much. Instead of just throwing coal mix in the hole, and first few cars that run over and pop it out. I mean,
Yeah.
It bonds to the hole. The rock you go in and goes in there. Everything just bonds together.
I see. Does this particular one, does it make it like level and flat? I know the cold mix, they try to make it as flat as you can, but sometimes it's a bump. Sometimes they're not putting enough in
Well,
it.
I mean, it's only going to be as flat as you make it. I mean, we may have to run a roller behind it too and
Okay.
flatten it out. Just
Bobby, did we have a Durapatcher at one time?
We had one a long time ago. Tom remembers it.
What do we have that Giesland got rid of?
The Durapatcher.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, we had one.
Why'd they get rid of it?
Because we thought we needed to go in the street business with a bunch of guys that don't know what they're doing about streets.
So why did we get rid of it? Because I always want to know why you got rid of that.
Because we bought a used trailer, a mulching tank, a rock spreader, and we started doing the entire streets
That's right, okay.
instead of just doing the potholes.
So y'all sold it and, I guess.
We bought some used, pretty well used equipment. To say the least. And, you know, and what about 10 guys that don't have a clue what they're doing, working on the streets and with the silk coating business.
But you think this pothole deal would be worth the money?
I do. I mean, if we want to fix potholes, yeah. I mean, this will fix the pothole pretty much permanently. You're still going to have new potholes come up.
Okay. I don't mind a new pothole. It's when we keep putting the Band-Aid on the old pothole that's wearing me out and wearing you
They
out.
go around, they'll patch potholes, then they go back a week later,
Oh, I
fill
know.
in the same pothole.
You could, just like that rain, we fixed quite a few things before that first big rain got us. And then we've been fighting it ever since.
Yeah.
I think we need to do something, whatever that may be, to improve and not just put a Band-Aid. We need an apparatus that will actually do the job, and whatever that, I don't have a clue. I've got to have you for that. But
We have our share of potholes, and I think this will be the answer to the pothole problem.
that'd be good.
It's a lot better than buying culverts.
Have we already made an application for the USDA matching?
We're working on that right now. We're going with the police department and
It would be 2022 though.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Is this price for a new one or a used one?
That's a new one. And that's a whole nother thing. That's kind of why this Durapatcher, there's not a lot of used ones out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I found 2, 3, maybe, and they're a little older, but for the price of going, why don't I want to buy somebody else's problems?
You buy a new one, it'll last good 20 years?
That I couldn't answer
10
that.
years?
Yes.
10?
I will say 10.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be one of those deals if you got it and it lasted 10 years, the next one will last 20 years. So when you get the first one, you're gonna wear that sucker out. I'm serious, just getting caught up the amount of use, and then we can get a game plan and actually you won't use it. You know, this first one is gonna get, I'd tell you to get a good quality new one, and then you could maybe get a used one next time and last twice as long. Whatever. You're gonna get the first one, you can put to work. How many people does it take to operate it? Is it pretty simple?
Well, the trailer mounted is 2, so it'll take my entire street department to.
Did you say trailer mount?
Yes. It's on the trailer.
Okay.
There's 2 different models. There is a truck mounted one, which I don't think that's too big. We don't need that, but they have a trailer one where we hook our dump truck up to it. We feed our rock mix into that, and it does its.
And the guy stands out on that long boom and directs it in exactly where it
He
needs to
puts
go.
the emulsion, then he puts his mix until basically builds it until he's got it level.
Somebody that has experience, I'm sorry
Yes,
to
sir.
interrupt, but the Durapatcher was one of the best deals to do potholes with. You have a blower on it.
Yes, sir.
You blow the hole out real nice and clean, even if it has water in it, it'll dry the hole out. Then you spray the emulsion, which is the seal.
Yes, sir.
You seal that, and then you hit the other button on there, and it mixes the rock and the emulsion together and makes your asphalt. And you can put it on there. If you put it on a little heavy and roll it flat, it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, but that emulsion at the bottom, it actually bonds
It
to
bonds to that, and with a coal mix, and of course that's what we've had whenever I worked. That's what we had is coal mix to use. It works fairly well, but like Bobby was talking about, you run over it with a big truck, especially trash trucks. They tear these streets all to pieces.
No, the trash company says they don't do that.
Been there, done that. We've had to walk behind them a lot of times now. But the 2 guys with the Durapatcher in one day You can start on one street, go all the way down one street, you know, patching potholes in it, the next day go back to another. It makes it so much better.
So
I mean,
efficiency.
it's not easier, and it's not cheaper, but I mean, it's better.
How many potholes can you do in a day with the Durapatch?
Good Lord, I don't know. Back whenever I was in the street department, we'd start on one end of the street and go all the way to the other end in a day. And there might be 50, 75, 100 potholes in it. I mean, it's work. It's solid work.
It's better because it's a permanent solution.
It's pretty well permanent. The only thing is, if your asphalt is already bad, like some of the streets are already starting to deteriorate, you're gonna have another pothole somewhere else. But right there where you're at.
You know, today, we're fixing the pothole today, and we have one come up somewhere else as well.
Yeah.
Now you've got two. We're not gaining any ground, so if we can get something that can start making some progress, I think it'd be well worth it. When he came here, I think I've already told y'all that, he asked me what my number one priority was. What was it? Streets.
And this is the number one council request that you want?
I'm telling you, this is my number one deal. And I'll say every small town fights streets. They do. They're expensive. We look at the price on what it costs for a block of concrete street, and it's outrageous. $191,000 for a block.
That's taking the prices. He did that off of the grant, the $10 million grant, and what they budgeted the street for. You take one street, it's $191,000. To do a concrete street like they're going to do.
40 years?
Huh? Yeah. It lasts what?
40 years?
40 years.
Yeah.
But that's it. But we're not, I mean, and this is no offense to anybody in our city, but we're not doing ourselves any favor with the way we're going. We have to move a different direction to.
Well, we've been playing catch up for
exactly.
I mean, we were playing catch up when we got that machine that Eastland got rid of. We were playing catch up when they got that, and then we didn't keep it. I guess Cato bought that one. Did Cato buy it?
I guess.
Yeah.
Cato bought that one. Okay. Well, it's still, we've got to address it.
Yeah, until we can get on a program where we can start redoing some streets. To me, this is our best bet to actually fix some streets.
So we're gonna, since that USDA grant is probably gonna be 2023, so we're planning for the 21-22 year. So we're
22. It'll be 22. Next year.
22.
We hope.
We hope.
But part of that, we're relying on USDA to say the money's there, apply for it now. And that's kind of what it's been. So it could be, Washington could jack all that.
Is that a community development block grant? Or?
No, it's basic, well, kind of, but it's not. It's basically, they fund everything from patrol cars to potentially the city hall or public safety buildings.
The way I'm approaching this, I'm budgeting $113,000. If the grant comes through, then hey, then we can move down the list and buy something else. And
I like this idea.
another thing,
It's got to give us some immediate relief. We need some immediate relief.
Yes.
It's going to be hard to do $191,000 a block.
Yeah. Yes.
Or even, I don't know how much it can cost just to re-asphalt the road, a whole block. What is that looking like?
About 124. But that is taking it all the way down. So yeah.
If we can get potholes fixed, we're going to make great strides in improving streets. A lot of our streets, you fix the pothole, the street's fine. You know, our streets get a bad reputation because they've got 5 potholes on it, and you try to get down the street, you get killed. The next thing that we've got to address, besides just potholes, and I don't know how you do it, is the streets where the sewer lines appear to be collapsing, is what I would call that. I'm not an expert. What's Hillcrest, Crestwood is one of them that I drive down and I see that.
Well, you can tell where there's a clay sewer line because you can follow the ditch down the middle of the street. You know, them joints, every joint's like 3 foot long, where every one of them is dirt silted in. So your ditch is slowly sinking all the time. because you got a clay sewer line that's put in the 30s and 40s. So,
That'll be an issue, but this, I think this is, what is it saying, 103,000, how much?
113.
113.
That was I'm waiting on a couple more quotes. That's the only quote back that I have received. So, and actually, we could maybe get a little bit cheaper. They had a delivery charge in there, but it came down to it. You can negotiate. Sure, I'll drive to Houston and pick it up.
We can find the money for it, I sure think it'd be worth it. I know we got other things we gotta look at too. Boy, I tell you, that's a.
I mean, it benefits the whole city tremendously.
Well,
in that.
I mean, you got the fire chief over here tell you his fire trucks are getting beat up on what? Going down potholes and police cars getting torn up and going down potholes. Public works truck getting, I mean, we could improve our fleet by improving our own streets. I mean, we're tearing up our own, you know, there's a cost valuation in there somewhere that we're gonna improve that as well. And then we get the streets better, people drive faster, we can write more tickets and pay for
Exactly. Right. Exactly move though.
What else?
That's my number one deal. I mean, being on the last couple of water leaks and being with the guys, they need some type of portable radio to communicate back and forth. Because you know, you don't want to go over here, one go over there. And
I was just wondering about the repeater, though. I mean, we got maximum 3 miles from one end to the other with a 5 watt portable radio, though.
Yeah, I think there's some room in there. We threw the repeater in there just because it went off the last guy that the quote came from. He's like, you know, they always try to tell you need a repeater.
Yeah.
But we're looking, if it comes to pass, seeing if we can't jump off somebody else's repeater or something like that, or if we even need one in general.
Yeah.
So the radios go 3 miles by themselves?
Oh, yeah. I had a 5 watt portable radio in Gorman that I could talk to dispatch
on. Then, you know, we need a mower for the Parks Department. Bobby figured out how many acres do we do we mow?
Just what they mow, riding mowers. This isn't counting the tractors, the airports, and just what they mow with the riding mower is 45 acres. That needs to be mowed every week. That's the cemetery, that's the ballparks, the swimming pool, Park Hill, all the other little lots that we have around. It's 45 acres that needs to be mowed every week. That's a lot of usage on it right now.
Yeah.
This is a 52-inch mower. I guess it's a riding lawnmower. Or does it stand behind?
It's a riding mower. It's a zero turn.
Yeah.
It's in your, yeah.
It's 52.
52. Can we buy that locally? I know there's local shops that sell riding lawnmowers in town.
Well, we have bought locally, but this is a little bit better one because what we're spending on the local ones.
Now, this is a commercial. This is a commercial.
It's commercial. It's about $1,000 more than what we buy locally, but we're spending over $1,000 because it's just not as durable as buying one a little bit better.
Police department.
Yeah.
Keep the money at home.
Right.
Sure. I mean, we're up. We talked about being on the grant with the police department for a new patrol unit. I mean, just to help keep the fleet going.
This grant, that would be for a patrol unit and a Durapatcher together on the same USDA grant?
Yes and no.
So. They would be two.
It'd be different rounds of funding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think the match would be the same. It'd be a 25% match in the city's part.
That'd be 2022, I guess, still?
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of those deals because, like I said, we're kind of the federal government's mercy about when they make first off on how much they're going to put out, and then what that time frame is.
Okay.
Fire department. I mean, we all know fire hoses or smooth out all the time. I mean, I think that's something that we're gonna have to eventually put in as a line item in the budget is for every year to work on. City Hall, Leslie, you took the class on this, and it's a cloud-based module for our encode.
There's a couple of different things here. It would eliminate our local servers, which have to be replaced, every so many years.
And those are what, 10,000?
It would put everything on the cloud, our software, our data, all of our customer information, everything would be on the cloud. It would be backed up, it would be secure. Encode, if we ever did have some kind of local disaster, it would be safe. And then the other thing that the news services can do is, we are on what's called version 9 of Encode software. And that is really kind of the max level for a small town. They have a version 10, but it's really for the big cities. So we're kind of at the top of where we are. The only way that you can change or advance, they're still going to support it always. They're still going to do some upgrades, but they're limited on what they can do on the base that we're on the, I don't know how to say the word, Zach, on the platform that we're on. Going to this cloud-based gives us some other options of being able to kind of upgrade our systems. We can get the ability to scan in documents, like applications for residential service, a lot of the things that we file right now and keep in the safe. We can scan in some of that. We can scan in people's driver's license, stuff like that. But it also is going to give us a few extra little, it's going to change the look of some of our things. We could do graphs, we could do different things, stuff y'all would really like. We can just show all kinds of different things. But the biggest thing, and hopefully it's never going to be a real disaster, but we could work from home if we needed to. We could take some stuff home and work on it at home if we needed to. I don't know, just like if I had a surgery and I was going to be out for 2 months, I could work from home some if I needed to. And we have zero ability to do that right now at all.
What software are we talking about? What's in my brain is, when you talk about software, are you going to have Excel, Microsoft software available to us as well?
We have all that on our computer.
Okay. Stop.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with that question is, if we had software, Microsoft and that type of stuff on here, it may not be cost effective to it. You wouldn't need computers anymore. You need a dumb terminal.
Encode software is specific software that's written just for cities and applications.
That's what we're talking about, just city type software.
Just city software, just the city software, just the Encode modules that run our utility billing and payroll and that integrate everything together into the general ledger. People keep trying to sell us different software, but I've been here 19 years. When I first got here, we changed from
Big Chief tablet,
DOS-based to Windows-based, and knock on wood, knock on whatever, we have not had problems with the software. We have not been down. We have not had terrible glitches. It has not been anything but smooth. And
many municipalities use this software.
Yes, they do. And there's lots of software companies out there coming out now saying, oh, we're cheaper. Well, okay, maybe you're cheaper, but are you better? You know,
Do
and
they have the market share on the software than any others?
Tyler Technologies, which is what Encode comes off of. Encode is not their only module. They do. They have a whole law enforcement area. They're really the leader in municipalities.
Is there a limit on storage ability?
I don't think there is.
Mr. Tyler.
No.
I think it's.
Okay, but
I'm sorry.
limit on storage ability, we do unlimited storage?
Unlimited on the cloud if we go.
So it's $12,000 a year for the service. What are we paying now to have it local on the server?
Well, we pay annual maintenance, which is them giving us our upgrades, keeping up with everything, helping us. I can call them anytime. Today. That's
What do you pay for that?
We pay, the difference is gonna be the $12,000 a year more if you went to a cloud-based service.
So you pay right now,
What?
What do you pay now?
Oh gosh, I have to.
Did you just say the difference is gonna be $12,000?
More every year?
Every year.
So if we pay $5,000 now, it's gonna be $17,000?
No, we pay a lot right now. We pay on the, let's see. I mean, we're talking about, we pay,
14,000.
plus then another 14,000 that is in, the utility fund. So we probably pay about $30,000 a year right now.
And now this is gonna cost $42,000. That's not what this says.
Yeah.
Huh? No, it's just we've already budgeted
Sorry,
for the
I
base.
should have put.
Well,
I should have put.
yes.
Yeah.
12,000 additional dollars.
Yeah, it is additional,
Sorry.
12,000 additional. Yes, additional.
One-time fee
Okay.
and per year addition.
Yes, additional, 12,000 additional.
Is that fee locked in forever?
They increase a little bit every year, like everything else.
Yeah, like they get you hooked and then they got you.
And then it's another 12,000 for a one-time conversion.
Oh,
fee,
you
right?
actually wanna use this, that's more.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
one-time, it's an upgrade
Yeah.
to the cloud
Get you on with it.
system. It's $12,000.
So the cloud means you have no servers here to maintain.
Mhm.
Because servers are very expensive.
Yes.
You got to replace them, every 3 to 5 years, supposedly.
Yes.
So that's what, 12,000, 10 to 12,000.
There's no doubt cloud base is the way to go. There's no
Yeah,
doubt.
do we have the money to do it?
Exactly.
And we've been with Encode for, about 16, 17 years?
Oh, we were Encode, DOS-based Encode when I got here.
Uh-huh.
I've been here 19 years.
It's been a very, very reliable software provider.
It can be very difficult to switch softwares too.
Yes,
From
that's
my
why.
from my experience, it's very
When these
rough
people
on.
call me
the whole
and,
staff.
you want to look at our product? No.
I know y'all would prefer not to switch.
Yeah.
When was the last time that we bought a new server?
It's been several years.
Like 3 years?
At least 3.
3 years? Okay.
At least 3 or 4. Yeah. Right now we have Mirror. We
Yeah,
have two.
I was just thinking, is
Mine's going on
there
about
still
8
life in the server? Maybe to go one more year and then maybe go to cloud-based. I'm just throwing this out.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I totally agree that the cloud-based is the way to go. You have remote access from your home, remote access anywhere. You've got additional features, but it does come at a cost.
Yes, and that's just it, and that's that's just.
If you go another year, you may go more than 12,000.
What do you mean?
Your increase could be more than that 12,000. I mean,
You're
you
locking
may
in the pricing?
No.
Do you see what I'm saying?
No, we're not. It's not locked in at 12. That's just what it will be this year.
Yeah.
Every year their maintenance, what it's called.
It may be
maintenance,
13,000
goes up
next year.
About 5%.
It may be 13,000 next year, but it may be 13,000 anyway, even if we signed up this year at 12,000.
It could be 13,000.
And I'm saying 12,000. It's really 12,000 additional.
Additional. I apologize for that.
So that's really 42,000
Additional,
instead
I'm
of.
about additional on here.
Yeah, additional.
There you go.
It's like buying a server every year.
Additional. I mean, there's a sticker shock. All of the capital requests you've got here, I would list total at $177,900.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Okay. One of the things that I want to get clear, I am confused about something. I'm a bottom line kind of guy.
Yes, sir.
And just tell me what I'm missing, because I'm missing something. Go through if I go through each one of these accounts,
Starting.
I guess I'm gonna start right here. It's gonna be the first part. Where's admin? I show admin to be a $40,000 increase on expenses. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If
Yes,
I
sir.
go through municipal court, 17,000.
Yes, sir.
Under tab 4, there's a budget summary that shows you each last year and this year.
Oh,
Okay, that's okay.
Now remember, we had a salary increase in the middle of the year.
So I got to read this right to left.
yeah, right.
Yeah, the prior budget is on the right,
Is on the right.
current budget is on the left.
So that's even worse.
You think it should be switched?
I gotta go through every one of these. I don't, okay, what I totaled up here with each one of these, let's just see, if that's 40,000.
The administration difference?
Yeah, it's 40,000 administration. I've got 17,000. I've got 33,000. That's not right. What is this right here? I guess that's 31,000.
For police?
Police is 31,000 increase.
29.
29. That's the wrong one. I was the wrong one. Thank you. My fire is a one.
-1.
Okay. All right. Let me go look at something. Let's stop where I'm at. 416. 448. 404. Okay. Where did you get the number for the prior year?
Oh, wait.
Because, well, I'm looking at the fire department. The fire department, you got 417, and this right here, our budget deal's got 404, which is a $11,000 increase. I don't.
Oh, I see what you're looking at.
There's something not
I
right.
see, well, we had the last year's budget. This is where it gets all kind of confusing. Okay, that adopted budget last year. Okay, then we had a pay raise in the middle of the year. So that 404 is really not, well,
It's not an accurate number because we went up 2% in the middle, so it would actually be, what, 1%?
I'll look, Larry, because I got these prior budget numbers off of this very same sheet from last year. All I did was.
But it's not accurate
Well, it doesn't,
because we adopted the budget.
well, I don't know what the difference is. I don't understand
Well,
what the difference
whatever it is, this deal you've got over here ought to match what this is.
Okay, I got you. I
Okay.
got you.
Okay. Now,
But
what?
I'm saying that this prior budget numbers
All right.
came out of last year's
I
budget.
understand, and we
So,
monkeyed with it, so I understand
Maybe
that.
something changed and I didn't
All
realize
right,
it.
that's all right. Well, hang on, cause I'm still lost. Let me land this thing in the right place. Go back here and see if I looked at this our total sheet.
The total sheet's under
365.
three shot.
Let me see if I'm 436. See, that's what I'm looking at. The same thing I just talked about is we lost 50. We went down this budget by what I'm looking at I'm looking at the total sheet back behind your city shop.
Right.
Okay, the very total. We
Yeah.
went down $56,000 from last year's budget to this year's budget. And I understand we may have had some budget changes that would have made that even bigger decrease.
Mhm.
You with
If we
me?
had any budget amendments last year, at the end of the year last year, if we had any budget amendments, which we did, for different things, I don't go back and check the adopted budget on the budget pages.
Well, this is $140,000 difference. Do we have that much in budget changes?
I'll have to go back and look
Evidently.
and see what we did last year.
Maybe so.
I'll have to look and see what we did last year, but I didn't really think about it till right now that, you know, I change it on our, the stuff that I run our monthly financials
Well, okay,
on.
now,
I change it on that, but I don't change it on this budget.
okay, well,
page.
now we ruined the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay, now, when I went through each individual department, not your sheet here.
Right.
When I went through it, I got $135,000 increase.
okay.
When I get back here to this sheet, it should be a total though, that's a $56,000 decrease. That's a $190,000 difference.
Okay.
Well, I'm just looking at the raw numbers. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with our
Well,
calculator.
I'm saying that on the budget sheet, if there's any changes after the budget was adopted last year, I didn't update the budget sheet. I update the things that.
But is this total, grand total for 100, the total of all those budget sheets?
For this year?
Yeah,
For
what?
this year? Yes.
Okay, but even for the total in that 33.7 million right there, is that not an accurate total of what I'm holding in my hand here? Is that not where that comes from last year without your budget amendments?
I can't testify for last year's number. Because that's not what I have over here. So I'm not sure.
Now, what is your finger on that little sheet you have?
Uh-huh.
Your sheet behind tab 4?
Uh-huh, yeah. So I do not know. I honestly do not know, Larry.
Okay. So is the sheet behind tab 4, does that reflect our budget amendment?
No, and that's an error. Because I never really thought about it.
Okay.
But that's an error. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay.
I understand, yeah.
I just look at the base and I go through and I see something change $40,000. I go look and say what happened. Okay, so y'all can worry about that. We'll worry about that later. Now, we've got $170,000, $180,000 capital outlay. What you're requesting, which that doesn't make me too nervous because I'm expecting our tax rate to come in is going to cover all that. What I don't see in this that I want to question is salary increases.
That is on my radar, but again, I wanted to give y'all just the capital requests.
And
I want to see what this would be my number one priority on that. I don't want to sit there and say we're going to give a raise when it boils down to it, we can't give a raise.
Remember what we did last year? We did not do a raise in the budget last year, and we did it in March. And at our next meeting or two, I'll be bringing you the budget amendment for that, and that was $40,000, around $40,000.
Okay, if I had a total for administrative and I don't know what this number would be, but the reason why I want to see this is whatever the salary number would be. Let's say we give a 3% pay raise or 2% or 10%, whatever you say that number is, what is that number going to be?
Okay.
Yes.
We can give you that because under tab 9, these wage sheets, where it says previous annual salary.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That is
That's the stuff I post on the internet.
after the March. That is after the March pay increase. That is everybody at their current salary rate, which included the March increase.
So that's what everybody's at right now.
Yes.
Yes.
This is accurate. Okay, so is there a total salary number on here?
On
$370,000 for that group.
the last page,
The last page.
it's broken down by fund.
General fund
Yes.
total is 1.855 just salary.
That's including benefits.
Okay, well,
That's salary.
Where is my
Salary is, if you go to the left a little bit,
1.6.
salary is 1.323 is salary.
okay, I see that. Okay.
Okay, and then our benefits are the next few lines. And
So a 1% increase is $100,000.
Yes, sir. Well, that's just off the salary.
yes, just off.
Off the salary, but you have to include the benefits and.
Yeah, and so
stuff
then
in
if
there.
you up your salary, then you up your TMRS, you up your FICA, you up your workers' comp. Those three, if you change the salary,
Well,
those
give us
change.
a raw picture of the general fund, and whenever we meet again to talk about budgets again, the next meeting, give us a raw picture of what a 1%, 2%, 3% pay raise would look like.
I was thinking 2, 3, 5 is what I would bring you on. But if you want 1, 2, 3.
Well, it's an Excel spreadsheet, push a button.
Yeah, that's all I do is go in there and from previous salary to current salary, add 3%.
Well, whatever pieces of this you need to include, if you increase the salary 1%, it changes all these things
It
1%.
changes all of them, yeah, automatically.
Okay, so just pick the number and make it whatever it is,
Okay.
and we can guesstimate if you give us 2, 3, 5, and 4 is gonna be in between 3 and 5. You can do that, it doesn't matter, but I would like to see what those are, and I feel real good about what you're doing with your budget, because I'm assuming, and that's a terrible thing to do, especially with budgets, especially with the tax office, but our current tax is $1.something million, 1.1.
1.1.
Right now, $1.156 million. Right?
Yes, sir. That's what we're projecting.
So you've almost got a balanced budget without that in there.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
We're.
Everybody see that? Everybody good with that? So, anybody have any questions, anything else you want to cover or do, or I'll wait till next time?
I had a question the other day about the airport, and I don't know where I'm confused on this. I didn't see anything for salary. Do we pay Bodie anything?
No.
Bodie gets his fuel and all that's Bodie's.
The fuel's Bodie's, and he's got a shop out there, and he's got a hangar, and he does his measurements.
Okay, so
And he pays us a flowage fee every month based on
Sounds good.
fuel sold. He pays us a fee every month.
He's kind of got a business going out there. He's a good man. Good deal. He doesn't lost too. What else do we need to cover?
If you have questions anytime, call, email, whatever.
Yeah.
And thanks for exposing the flaws in this whole system. Now I gotta go back
That's
and
humble.
now I gotta go back and rethink this whole process.
Well, I almost went in and put it in the computer because my brain was fried. I'm going, this something is not right. Something, you've got a number somewhere didn't get added up. I don't know where that is or whatever it is. Even at what you're giving us, it really looks good. I see we can do great things, and one of the things I'd like to do with the salary part of it, don't turn that recorder on, is make up a little bit for where we had to hit them last year. The thing we've got to be addressed in all of our salary structures, and we've got to, in your business, as a competition now, the federal government doing some of the stupid stuff they're doing. You can have a guy go to work at McDonald's, $15 an hour. Why would you be a police officer? Or a firefighter, or whatever you want to do, whatever you want to talk about. We've got the battle's on. The federal government's not doing us any favors. It's getting crazy. So we've got to be aware. I just saw you didn't have anything in there. I knew you had a plan. I just didn't know what it was.
If there's no other discussion, I move we adjourn.
We'll see if there's any more discussion. Got a motion to adjourn from Zach?
Second.
Got a second from Ben. Any other discussion?
let's go.
Motion carries. Let's go.
Let's go.